We're on my iPhone now. Bet you can tell there's a difference in just the general tone and feel of the video. The texture of the video has changed. Anyway, yes, we're telling a story that's very uncomfortable, but I've already told you the story, so let's move on. I had a dream, you guys, that God's judgment on South Africa. I don't even think it is Ninevic in its nature, in that the people that are under judgment, I believe that this is a finality with South Africa, because they're not like Nineveh at all. South Africa is not like Nineveh in the sense that they've got so many prophets on the ground, so many priests, so many anointed evangelists. They've got so many of God's servants on the ground that keep on preaching to them, that keep on warning them, but they don't repent. So they are not like Nineveh. They have perpetually just continued to kill the prophets of God, hand them over to be decimated, to be destroyed, to be lambasted, abused, and they could not care less to correct the situation, because they think if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. Now, just into explaining the dream, let's just get into it, okay? So the dream commenced with me being inside the vehicle of those two men, the very two men that I just described, that took me to Xanten, tried to, both of them at different times, have sex with me, exploiting my weakness. I rejected both of them, and as a result of rejecting them, abandoned me in a neighborhood, abandoned me to basically just find my way home by myself, because I would not lay with them. That is where it is that my dream commenced. I was in the back seat of a vehicle with one guy, and this dude was driving inside Alex, the neighborhood that other guy wanted to take me to. However, when the dream commenced, I was promised by him that he would take me home, right? That he would give me a lift home. And as the ride progressed, this man, and the deeper into Alex that he got, he gained an understanding. More so did it become clear to him that I was not going to give him what he wanted. Now, of course, I didn't know what this thing that he wanted was, because he, of course, offered me this ride home under the guise of, I stranded, I'll take you, without expecting anything in return. But as soon as it became clear to him that he would not be getting anything from me out of this gesture, of this charitable gesture, as soon as he gauged that I would not give him anything in return, because he was doing it hoping that I would eventually give him something in return. Do you understand? He did not offer me the ride with the like proposition that I'll give you a ride if you give me ABC. He gave it to me under the guise of there are no, and as the ride progressed, as God began, and I found he understood. I had an understanding of girls what I want from her. She'll never ever abide by what I want. As soon as he gauged that, came into that understanding, he became hostile in the car. And as soon as he started to become hostile, his friend appeared in the car, and I was in the back seat of the car. Friend appeared back seat, so the friend was not in the front seat himself, like in the passenger seat. He was in the back seat with me, and the friend then was like, "Fine, I'll take her home." And when he said that, the two of them had a fight over me. And in their fight, they both came to a comprehension that it doesn't matter how much they might fight, none of them are gonna get me. So,
Monday.com.
1 minute, guys. In this fight of theirs, they both came to a comprehension that they're fighting for nothing, because what they are fighting for, there's not going to be a winner that comes out top that is going to get me. I'm just going. It's always going. What is going to be the end result of this ride that they want to give me is that I'm just going to be taken home, and that's it. I'm going to be taken home, and they're not going to get anything out of it. So they, upon realizing that they were fighting for nothing, what they imagined nothing, chivalry on its own was not motivation enough. Okay, the fact that a woman was stranded, struggling, and in need of any kind of help at all. So it would be great if men were to just like man up and help a woman not have to. That was just by mere virtue of the fact that women should not be suffering, they should not be made to struggle like this, was not enough. They had to get something out of this. There had to be something in it for them in the end. Once they understood that there was nothing in it for them, that I'm not going to give them anything as a big fat thing, they both sort of came, what is the word that I'm looking, it's like they became comatose. They became comatose. So comatose that I, or with that I had to get out of the car because it was no longer moving, because they were just zombies now. They just became comatose. They didn't kick me out the car. They were just immobile. They just froze, because they came to an understanding that I'm not going to do anything for them. So I got out of this vehicle again, abandoned in the middle of Alex. I never got to the place where I was ultimately taking life in that experience that I had when I was 19 years old. But that dude was trying to take me go Alex. So this dream was in the context of me being go Alex. Alex, of which is this township that is not quite Soweto, in the sense that I'm not used to it. I don't know my way around it. Like, I don't know how to get out from there to go home. But you know how dreams are weird like that? Literally, I can't stand flies. I hate them with a purple passion, and there's one that's busy hovering around me now, and I'm gonna anyway. Yeah, these guys are being frozen. I opened the door of the car, and that I have day. In my dream, there was sun out, right? I took 1 or 2 or 3 steps, and by the time I took my 3rd step, it had gone from, within that short space of time, it had gone from daylight to night. And now I suddenly felt the urge to get to taxis, public transportation quickly, so I could, like, I guess, take myself home, in the sense that, like, commute with a cheap form of transportation that's gonna take me to where I needed to go. Because as soon as it became too late, I would need to use a maxi taxi. Literally, the context of what happened to me that season of my life, all of it, as to how it even allowed me, you know, basically be put in trouble or in danger, because I knew that I was pretty enough to have men want to do me favors for nothing at all. But it caught up with me that the whole scene was unfolding of that similar nature, where it is that I was in this with this dude having agreed to give me a ride, and he initially started out alright, but then he got hostile. He realized from friends suddenly appeared, the friend of which was like, fine, I'll give her a ride if you don't want to ride, and fight. Oh, and in their fight, like, she's not going to give any of us anything, so we're fighting for nothing. And in that realization of theirs, and so in their frozen state, they couldn't drive anymore. They couldn't drive me or anything for that matter. So I got out of the car, and that I got out of, when I landed on the ground, and I took 2 or 3 steps, and within a very short space of time, it became night. And then there was a sense of urgency. Remember, I told you guys that taxis in this country, or at least as at the time, last time I checked, 7 p.m. at the latest, are you gonna find them outside. After that, there's taxis are very cheap. They are the majority of South Africans' ways of traveling to work and back. They're like using a bus, not bad. But once it gets nighttime, things get real, and then things bend. So I knew that I needed to get in a cheap form of transportation if at all I'm gonna send myself home, because all I have is a coin in my hand. Pretty much give my get in a taxi, and then the taxi will take me home. And since it's a taxi, ain't nobody gonna be giving me grief. I'm the driver, he's where to go, and it's over. And there's like a whole bunch of us commuters that have a similar interest. We want to get to a particular destination. So I'm walking now towards a taxi rank, and it suddenly becomes night. And as soon as it becomes night, urgency is in my heart, and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's night. There are still taxis that are, you know, cheap, like regulating taxis for daytime travel. They are still out there, but time for them to collect passengers is running out real quick. There's soon not be home very soon. Now they're not gonna go, and I out of that I started to walk fast. I haste because I was rushed to find the low, and behold, as I'm walking, I know the taxi rank in front of me that suddenly appears is not so much a taxi rank, alright, but it's Baragwanath taxi rank that I know, that I understand, that I remember I told guys Alex that I don't understand, but now all of a sudden I was I was exiting another way and about to enter Ecos without the travel. The distance between Alex and Soweto, it's like perhaps 15 kilometers. It's spread wide apart from each 15 kilometers. Okay, it's far. It's a different neighborhood, township altogether. It's a completely different township altogether. Soweto is a township, Alex is a township on its own. It has its own, like, you know, like place on the map in Johannesburg type establishment thing. But in this dream, they were closely knit. They were like literally next door to each other. So here it is that I was exiting a ELX, and the taxi rank in front of me was not a taxi rank in Soweto, the most prolific one at all out there that anybody would know of, which is Baragwana taxi rank. Right? But before I walked the distance far from Bara, I passed this lady go Alex. It was still inside Alex where I was at. I was yet you just here, alright? And there's this woman, this chubby, this mama, okay, this church mama. I understood her to be a church mama, one of those body beret, AMED uniform, all that jazz. And she was a hawker, selling keys. And they were beautiful guys. They were fluffy. They looked looked really delicious. And when I noticed this woman's baked goods, I suddenly developed a hunger, a very extreme hunger, and I wanted to stop, even though I didn't have time. I had to run. I wanted to stop this. A couple of, I'm like outside of the street. They use a plastic bag to sort of kind of put these cookies of theirs that they bake in. Yeah, so you buy like 3 or 4 of them in this plastic bag. Now you would know Gasi culture gunjalo. Nase downtown Joburg, if they sell cookies, they sell them in these plastic bags. So this mama was selling, she had a business of that nature where she was selling cookies. All right, and they looked so fluffy, and she was on the street. Okay, she was on the street as a hawker. However, she was like an avi hawkeries. When they sell cookies, they bake them at home and then they put them in buckets and then take them to the street to sell them to people. But this woman, there was, dreams are weird like that. I did not observe, but I then bakes them literally as good as freshly baked from the bakery. And there was a batch of cookies on a freshly baked batch on this side tray, in a baking tray. Do you understand? It was yet to get taken out, and it was cooling off, and it was, like I said, fresh. And I looked at it and I was like, oh my goodness, it looks so yummy. I want some to take home so I can have them with tea. So I stopped by this lady, wanting to purchase these goods because I felt hungry, by this mama. All right, there was this colleague that I had at MT that put a whole bunch of witchcraft on me. She was subordinate to me in the sense that her level, her layer in a lot of organ was all right. She, however, and she decided that she's gonna bewitch the living daylights out of my career. She was among the people that got exposed with sorcery. This chick had often, in the beginning stages of my faith, I used to attend services sometimes at Grace Bible Church. Easter, go Gracie. They have this like stadium thing, like an Easter service that during the World Cup it used to be called Soccer City. Yeah. Well, before I used to go to this like Easter celebration ko FNB Stadium, and I once bumped into FNB kona good that whole Easter celebration yase Grace Bible Church. Get out of my way. Yeah. Oh, I've been speaking for way too long. Next part.